All right, guys. So this is a fun one. I'm still sick. I'm feeling a decent amount better, but still not feeling great. But I put a poll up. Mostly, they were all just weird, either fetal or alien fetal abortion type weird ass movies like The Suckling from 1990, Devil Fetus, which I haven't seen forever, but that's a great movie. If you haven't seen Devil Fetus, what a warped movie that is. Then I had to throw Critters 3 in since that's next in the series. I'll probably end up watching that after this. But Extra won, and I'm so glad it did. I haven't seen this movie in a few years, too. I watched parts of it last year because I wanted to do this movie at some point last year, and it just didn't happen. So I watched like the first 30, 40 minutes of it, and that was the first time in a long while I've seen this. But if you haven't seen Xtro, now this isn't like a deep cut 80s horror, but it's a deeper cut. Like, you don't find as many people who have seen Xtro, or even movies like Phantasm, which isn't the 80s, 79, but I bring up Phantasm specifically because I can't remember where I heard this quote, but it summed this movie up perfectly for me. I want to say it was one of the Shudder documentaries, maybe the 100 scariest moments, 101 scariest horror movie moments. I did a whole countdown on that. Might be there, but someone mentions Xtro. And then you have somebody who worked at New Line Cinemas who put this movie out at the time, saying that Bob Shea, the head of New Line, wanted to make his own Phantasm. And that's where this movie pretty much came from, was Bob Shea from New Line wanting his own weird-ass movie like Phantasm. And it succeeds, like, on that level for sure. It doesn't have the same awesome, dreamlike, surrealistic, nightmare, fever dream feel that the original Phantasm has. But this movie's out there, and the effects are great. Like, I mean, this is 82, 83. Again, one of those movies with 82 and 83 is the year. The effects, especially in the beginning, when you see this alien creature wearing the prosthetic suit, but the actor who's in the suit is upside down doing like the spider walk crawl, like Reagan from the Exorcist deleted scene. But the suit is put on right side up, so it's very effective. It really looks eerie the way that this creature moves. Since you got the guy upside down in the suit, but the suit's right side up, it was what a great decision that was. But if you haven't seen this movie, I'll try to sum it up. This person Sam ends up getting abducted by aliens. And then 3 years later, a woman gets impregnated by the aliens and gives birth to Sam again. And then he has to meet up with his family. It's a trip. So let's get into Xtro from 1982. This is a fun one, man. Now, this is directed by Harry Bromley Davenport, who I know him just for this movie. I know there's two sequels to this. I've never seen them because I can't imagine they're great. But who knows? Xtro 2, Xtro 3, whatever the tagline is. Off the bat, the title card and credits is cool. Just the way it's in space and Xtro cuts out into space. And then the title card, Xtro, just cuts itself into frame. And then the score to this movie is very good. Like, just hearing it now, is very cool. Like, I totally forgot how good the score is in this movie. It's definitely a positive. And I was just going to say, I can't remember who did the score, and it's the director, Davenport. So he did a lot of stuff for this movie. I mean, he directed, he co-wrote the script and screenplay, and then he performed and recorded the music. So we got the intro, which, I mean, this movie, it got a lot of hate back in the day when it released, from critics. It was considered a flop, but I mean, this movie had a $60,000 budget. And it made $1 million. So it made 10 times its budget back. So it didn't do bad financially at all. But you could see them writing well to their budget in the intro here, because we have Sam and his son, and they're playing on their farm, which, of course, alien abductions always take place on goddamn farms. When's the last time you saw a apartment complex in New York City where someone was abducted from? But they didn't have, obviously, a budget for a spaceship or anything like that. But they did a great job of working around that. You just see this bright light in the sky. That's all they had for the spaceship. But the way they have, things, the wind blowing, and you see the trees blowing really hard, and like all of those effects really sell the fact that this light is trying to abduct the father. And then you hear the little kid, I forget his name, but he's good, Daddy, Daddy, the UK movie, so he says it in that accent that some of the Brits we know use. It's like they're yearning for the daddy. And then Sam ends up getting taken away by these aliens. And then we cut to the son a few years later, 3 years later, I want to say, and he's having a nightmare about this, which how the hell could you not? Tony's mom comes in after he has this nightmare, and she thinks that he left him, that Sam just left the family. He just up and left and abandoned them, which sucks. And then Tony's sitting there, and he's like, no, I know he'll be back because he was there. He witnessed his father get taken away. He doesn't know by what, and he doesn't know how right he is that, yeah, his father will be back, but it's going to be real weird the way he gets back. So the mom's moved on, and she's with some new guy, and, you know, typical stepfather-ish type stuff. Tony won't call him father or look at him as a father figure because, yeah, his father got abducted. And this dickhead here has the balls to say that I can't believe Tony remembers all that. What, you mean the UFO? Pretty sure anyone's going to remember that. Maybe try showing a little bit of faith and belief in the shit that your future stepson might have to say, and maybe he'll call you father. 3 years passes by, and we see a car coming down, nice shot, coming down the curvy road, and then we see the light appear again, the UFO, and it drops like this little seedling onto the ground, which then grows into the creature, and that's cool effects work too. But again, the way the creature looks, and it like the sounds that it makes, it like howls up at the moon at some point. It sounds and looks really good. Even for all these decades later, from 82, that effect stands up. So the couple driving down the curvy road, they end up hitting this thing because it wanders into the road because it's stupid, one, and two, because of the weirdest way it walks, it can't shuffle back out the road in time. So they clip it. They stop the car. They're looking around, trying to look for it. And the boyfriend or husband, whoever this is, says to the wife/girlfriend, whoever that is, get back in the car. It's very over dramatic. The way the lines are said, maybe because it's British, it doesn't help. It doesn't sound good, the delivery. But they end up being killed by this creature. The kills are nothing with the couple, and if I remember correctly from the last time I saw the whole thing, it's not a lot of great kills in this movie or anything. That's not really what this film is for. But it's effective when the girl, she's like, the husband already got taken out, and she's like, come on, forget about it, and the car's open, the door. So she goes to reach out for it, and the hand just comes and grabs her, and she, and her foot gets stuck in the steering wheel. And then it just cuts to the next scene where Tony again had a nightmare and he walks in on future stepfather and his mother banging. Then we're about to have the great rape scene. I mean, you can't really say it that way, but a scene you'll never forget. And I like all the little POV shots, like from the creature's perspective, as it's creeping on this woman's cottage. And she's got dogs. And of course, dogs always notice shit, weird stuff, especially much quicker than humans. So all the dogs are freaking out. I love the lighting leading up to the scene too. When she locks the door and everything, and she's getting afraid that there's something lurking, and she locks her front door, and it's just the red lighting, like very like deep Argento red. That looks really cool. So yeah, that scene's awesome. I mean, it's quick, and it's as long as it needs to be. Just the effects though, when she gets spooked, the jump scare initially from the creature's face, and then she falls back. Then he has this weird tentacle thing with like suction cup mouths that come onto her mouth and just stick there, and then I guess impregnates her through that way. Then Tony wakes up from a dream. This kid dreams a hell of a lot in this movie, but until now, he didn't have a nightmare and then wake up soaked in blood. So this is much more severe. All right, now I recall there not being much logic to this film script in any way. That's why it's very similar to Phantasm and why Bob Shea wanted his own Phantasm. There's not a lot of like coherency to the structure of the story or anything here. But they have a doctor come over to check Tony after he's soaked in blood. And for a second, I thought they were going to just gloss over that shit like it never even happened, because the doctor starts saying, no, he's fine. He's absolutely healthy. And then they start walking away. And I'm like, they're not even going to bring up, like, there's a lot of blood that was drenched on this kid. Like, either it's his or he hurt somebody, like, bad. But then they bring it up, and then they just diffuse it and just brush it away by saying, I'm sure maybe he's just playing a prank. I don't know about any of that. And the effects in the scene with the woman giving birth to Sam. What an underrated, I mean, transformation scene, I guess you can call it, since it is a fully grown human being coming out of a woman. Very underrated 80s transformation scene. I thought of also The Beast Within, but I mean, Beast Within's on a completely different level. It's so much better. But this isn't bad. Like with her, just her belly starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger because she's giving birth to the full grown man here of Sam from 3 years ago when he was abducted. And you see the blood come out of her and the afterbirth. It's not a pleasant scene. Then his head comes out and he bites the umbilical cord. That looks disgusting. It's a very effective scene. And again, the effects are awesome in this. I'm sure the effects were a huge part of the budget for this film. Forgot to mention that they also in the household. So it's Tony, the kid, the mom. I think Joe is the name. The future stepfather, if he makes it. I'm pretty sure he doesn't. And then they have this like French woman who lives with them, who's sexy as can be. So I like the French girl. And just when you thought it almost was half a Brady Bunch situation, she then has Sam, who's been missing for 3 years, come live with all of them, including her new boyfriend. Even more so because then I totally forgot it's Joe, the boyfriend of Tony's mom, that she's banging on the side here, right? Like behind the mother's back, because there's a whole sex scene between her and Joe, and she's great. Rachel and Tony went to go visit Sam for the first time since he disappeared. I love how when she first shows up, the first thing that Rachel does is smack him across the face. Because in her mind, she never believed anything that Tony said. In her mind, he just left and ran out on the family, not abducted by aliens. Rachel and Tony, they end up bringing Sam home to the Brady Bunch household. Tony is happier than a pig in shit because he's got his father back. Rachel gives him a razor and says he's a fresh razor. The guy has no facial hair. He's completely well shaven. So I don't know if it was just like, here's this for the future. I forgot just how much this movie's out there. Like, I remember it is. It's definitely a weird movie, but it's a lot weirder than I remember. There's a whole subplot with like the neighbor because Tony has a pet snake. But like she thinks that he can't take care of animals, so she kills his snake. And then Sam has special powers. He has this whole dream sequence, which I remember this. This is such a trippy scene where Tony in the night, it seems like he's dreaming, but who knows at this point? There's a midget, like a little clown. I don't know what the thing is with midgets making appearances in a lot of the movies I've been watching lately, but there's another one here. It's a clown midget. And he's got the little light that's shining in Tony's face. The things in his room start becoming animate and moving around. He's using a yo-yo, this clown midget. And then I remember at the end of the movie, there's a random panther for no reason. And in that same interview that described this as Bob Shaye's Phantasm, the guy said Bob Shaye said that he wants a panther. And they were like, what? Like a panther for what? Where do we get a panther? If we can't afford a panther? But no, I want a panther. And he ended up getting that goddamn panther. So good for Bob Shaye. Yeah, this I completely forgot. Sam uses his alien powers to turn Tony's little toy soldier into a human-sized, big-ass toy soldier. And then sends his soldier. I don't know how nobody saw a big ass 7-8 foot tall soldier, a toy, walking the street to get to the neighbor. Whatever. He gets there, and then he ends up killing the neighbor, taking revenge on her for killing Tony's snake. And the effects look cool with the soldier moving around, with the after effects of her getting killed. He kind of just like stabs her with the gun when she's hiding under something. Great scene. And okay, that's not Joe, the boyfriend of Rachel. That's not the same guy that the French girl is fucking. That's her own boyfriend. They look very similar, though. And honestly, with a plot like this, it doesn't matter either way. But Rachel's going through Sam's stuff. There's so many names. I am absolutely shocked I didn't screw one up yet. And she finds like a receipt for a boat, like near their old cottage that they used to live in where the initial alien abduction took place of Sam. So they go there. They leave French girl with her boyfriend. That's how I knew it was a different guy. And Tony. So she's watching Tony, but has the boyfriend over. I love how he wants to play hide and seek. So she agrees. And while he's hiding, she's fucking her boyfriend in the room. That's great. All right. I mentioned this recently in another movie. I can't think of what it was, but this has to be an homage to 1950. I always forget the year. Two's Invaders from Mars, the original. We get a shot here where I think it's Rachel's driving down her car down this little road, and there's this fence. It looks just like the iconic shot from Invaders from Mars, where the alien UFO crashes, and there's the fence and stuff that goes to where it crashed. That whole iconic little shot that we see a few times in that movie, this looks just like it. So, I mean, it's either a ripoff or it's an homage to it, because it looks too close for comfort. All right, whatever. So at this point, Tony, like I said, is with French girl and her boyfriend. So now she's actually participating in hide and seek here, and she's trying to find him. And then she gets knocked out by midget clown. And then Tony is he's sucking on her, like on her side, and it looks like there's eggs like growing out of her. That's the only thing I can take from this. It looks like he's sucking the eggs out of her skin. That's, if anyone has any other interpretation, let me know because it's weird as hell. All right, so it's Tony that has these special powers, not Sam. I thought they were like his special alien powers, and he's helping his son trying to kill his neighbor and stuff. So Tony has powers, and he was the one who made the soldier grow really tall to kill that bitch who killed his snake, and making the little clown midget a thing. So this is old Tony. So he ends up making his toy tank, trying to kill the boyfriend of the French girl after she has the eggs and stuff inside her, because then she's like cocooned and like it's pulsating. The effects look great there too. And man, what a way to die. Just when you think you might survive and live, being attacked by a toy tank, then that random panther just comes out of nowhere and kills the shit out of this guy. So, I mean, you can't really, there's no way this guy could have saw that coming in any way, shape, or form. So, I mean, he had to die with dignity. All right, you won. No way I ever anticipated a panther coming out of nowhere and killing my ass. So, I'll just hand this one to you. Then we see more stuff of the midget clown, like fucking with the fridge and like just running amok all over the place with Tony. Then we get a cool scene, and the sound design's great in this movie too. Like some of just the weird effects, like this guy goes over to look for Tony, and he goes over, and the clown is making all the room is all painted green, so that looks cool. But then the lights go out, and he has this thing going around, and it's like light shining in this guy's face, and then it's like a sphere light kill, like almost literally. The thing is lighting up and comes and just cuts the guy's throat, kind of like if the sphere in Phantasm would go and drill into your head. Cuts his throat. Looks pretty good. That's a great scene too. Like very disturbing body horror in two different ways. When Rachel starts having sex with Sam, it's close, at the cottage that they used to live in, and then his body starts like disintegrating, decomposing a bit, and just the thought of it, like he's inside her and on top of her and stuff, and she's seeing him decompose in front of her eyes, and just pushes him off. But the way it's filmed, it's very disturbing. Then we get the ending here where Sam turns into just a straight up alien, kind of. I mean, it doesn't look great. The effects for his alien form, they could have done a much better job on that. I mean, again, budget issues, I'm sure, but it doesn't look that great. But him and Tony, his son, they end up going back with the aliens. And we get a cool kill right before they do that with Joe, the boyfriend of Rachel. The alien Sam just screams like really loud, and his ears start bleeding, Joe, and kind of, I wish we got a head explosion, because I was just thinking to myself when it was happening, like, are we about to get a head explosion? And if it looks great, I'm going to kick myself for always forgetting Xtro to bring that up for head explosions, but we don't. So, but the ear bleeding and stuff looks good. All right, half retraction. The full form of Sam as an alien looks awesome. Like, I forgot that he changes even more. Like, when Rachel sees him and Tony in the light and they're just about to leave, that looks awesome. A little bit earlier on, when like his face is just transforming a bit and it looks a little alien, but not too much, that doesn't look that great. But they end up leaving. Rachel's all alone, and she ends up going back to the house, the apartment. Panther's still there, doesn't attack her for some reason, and then she goes to the fridge and there's all the alien eggs inside there, and she picks one of the eggs up, and great ending, how it explodes, the thing goes into her mouth, she's lying on the ground writhing in pain, getting impregnated by a new alien egg, and then the door just slams shut, and the end. This is such a great movie. There's so much weird stuff in here. You can definitely see how this was inspired by Phantasm. Like, especially the ending just even there with the door slamming shut. And that's how it ends. It's kind of like the tall man and boy and pulling them through the mirror or the window in the Phantasm films. Very similar, but this is just such a blast of a movie. It's such an out there film, and I'm glad it was made. So, Xtro from 1982, fun ass film. If you haven't seen it and sat through this, definitely check it out. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. I'm watching it on Look Movie because I couldn't find it anywhere else, but give it a look if it sounded something up your alley. So, all right, guys, I will talk to you soon. Hopefully, I'm feeling better. So, it's been like going on 3 days. So hopefully by tomorrow I'll be feeling much better. And then I'm going upstate to see my daughter. So I will talk to you guys soon wherever you're from. Hope you're having a great morning, afternoon, or night. Take care, guys.